Alright, what is up, guys? Brian here, and this is my WWE Monday Night Raw key points recap on a couple of things, my thoughts on a couple of things that took place on last night's Monday Night Raw. So let's get right into it. One of the big things for me for last night's Raw, as far as my thoughts on last night, was the way that the show was booked. They had hyped the triple threat match between Braun Strowman, Samoa Joe, and Roman Reigns, making everybody think that that was going to be the main event, or that was going to be the match that closed out the show. But it was not actually, and I thought that was pretty weird. I mean, you hyped this triple threat match since last week. It's going to be a huge main event and all this stuff, and then it was not even the main event. So, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But we started off Raw with one of the big key points of Raw last night. We had General Manager Kurt Angle come out. Of course, Raw last night took place in Pittsburgh, Kurt Angle's hometown. He hyped the show. He talked about the main event. He made a match between Big Cass and the Big Show. He then talked about his long-lost son, Jason Jordan, being on Miz TV. He was then interrupted by Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, who basically came out, and Paul Heyman basically made a special kind of stipulation for that Fatal 4-Way match for the Universal Championship, and that kind of ties into the whole the rumor of Lesnar leaving WWE to go to UFC. Heyman basically told Angle he knew what Angle was doing. He's trying to get the Universal title off of Lesnar and wants it on somebody else. Heyman basically told Kurt Angle that if Lesnar loses the Universal title at SummerSlam, that he's going to leave the WWE, and Heyman is going to be going with him. He then made it very clear that that's what Kurt Angle wants, but that's not what Kurt Angle is going to get, because Lesnar is not going to lose the Universal title in that Fatal 4-Way against Strowman, Reigns, and Joe. But that is a big stipulation going into this match, or a big thing going into this match at SummerSlam, where if Lesnar loses, he could leave WWE. But I don't know. I'll talk about that when I make my predictions in a few weeks. Of course, this past Saturday night at UFC 214, John Jones, who after winning his fight against Daniel Cormier, made the challenge, saying he wants to fight Brock Lesnar in the octagon. And then of course there was rumors before that Lesnar could possibly be coming back to the UFC. That he was in the USADA testing for any steroids or anything like that. So that'll be interesting to see what happens at SummerSlam, whether or not they take the belt off of Lesnar. I think it would be a good thing to take the belt off of him and put it on somebody that's actually going to be there. So that's just my thought on it. But last night, Heyman dropping that bombshell that if Lesnar does not walk out of SummerSlam the Universal Champion, he's going to leave WWE. So, but we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Another thing about Raw last night, as I mentioned, Jason Jordan was a part of Miz TV. There had been some rumors that he would possibly be going for the Intercontinental Championship, and that looks like how that's going to go. him being on Miz TV, Miz trying to attack him, and then Jordan taking Miz down, and that was pretty much it for that segment. And that seems like that's where they're going, which would be a big opportunity for Jason Jordan. But I don't know. I mean, if it's a good idea. I mean, the reaction from the crowd. He really doesn't have that. He doesn't really have much as far as getting fan reaction. So that'll be interesting to see what they do in the next couple of weeks heading into SummerSlam with this whole storyline, if that's where they're going. We had what seems to be the start of the feud between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins and Sheamus and Cesaro. Of course, Seth Rollins has been trying to get Dean Ambrose to trust him about maybe putting the Shield back together. And then last night on Raw, Sheamus and Cesaro basically they were like mocking Seth Rollins and talking about Dean Ambrose. This would lead to a match between Rollins and Sheamus that Rollins would win, and then Cesaro and Sheamus would double team Rollins, and then Dean Ambrose would come out and they would go after him too and leave them both laying in the middle of the ring and standing tall, that being Sheamus and Cesaro. So obviously that's going to lead to something, maybe at SummerSlam for the tag titles. I could see that happening. So there was some other things that happened, like the continuation of the whole Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor feud. Bray Wyatt was in the ring cutting a promo. Afterwards, Balor would appear with his standing in the ring with his arms like Bray Wyatt does. He would then hit a kick on Bray Wyatt, and that was pretty much it. Then the whole tag team situation, with the Hardys, the Revival, the Gallows and Anderson. That was that whole thing. If you didn't watch Raw, or I would recommend looking that up and judging for yourself. The main event, however, was Big Show. All right, before I get to that, before I get to the main event, Roman Reigns won the triple threat match over Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman by hitting a spear on Samoa Joe after they took out Braun Strowman. And then in the main event of Raw, it was Big Show versus Big Cass. Obviously, this was a escalation of this feud with, of course, last week Big Cass attacked Big Show after attacking Enzo. Then, so that led to this matchup being made between Big Show and Big Cass, that ended with Enzo Amore getting involved in attacking Big Cass, causing the disqualification. Enzo would then get laid out by Big Cass, and then Big Cass would get laid out by Big Show with that punch, and then Big Show would help Enzo Amore up the ramp. My thoughts on that main event: I thought it was stupid. I really did. I didn't think that this should have been the main event. I thought the Joe, Strowman, and Reigns match should have been the main event, because the way they hyped it since last week. I don't know who booked Raw as far as as far as booking it, as far as match order or whatever. But Raw was not very good last night, I'm sorry to say. That main event I thought was terrible. I did think the match between Joe, Reigns, and Strowman was actually pretty good. Reigns picking up the victory in that one, building momentum towards SummerSlam. But overall, my thoughts on Raw last night: I thought Raw was terrible. I mean, I don't know how they're. I think they need to go. They need to go back to the drawing board as far as booking Monday Night Raw, because there are sometimes that Raw episodes are good, and then there's times like last night that Raw episodes are terrible. Um, but yeah, my thoughts on Raw. I didn't think it was a good show at all. Um, so if you guys watched Raw last night, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. I'm sorry if I'm rambling a little bit. I'm actually recording this video at it's 3:13 a.m. Tuesday morning. So with that being said, if you guys watched Raw last night, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. This has been my quick Raw recap of some of the things that took place on Raw last night. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.